Good evening, everybody. This is Casper from the Tropical Weather Threat Society. Welcoming you back for day 2 of our Hurricane Preparedness series. Taking a quick look here at the overall satellite view of the Atlantic Basin. We're gonna, after we get done with today's presentation, we're gonna talk a little bit regarding the Atlantic Basin here. Maybe something potentially out there in a couple weeks. I'll show you. It's certainly too early to make any determinations, but there could be a hint on the horizon. I would like to also, this is our first live stream onto YouTube as well, so I would like to welcome everybody that happens to see this on YouTube. It's been a long time coming. So, without further ado, let me get over here to Kylie's PowerPoint presentation, and we'll go through this. So, we're here, day 2 of the National Hurricane Preparedness Week series, and today's topic is Prepare Before Hurricane Season. This is a very important topic because knowledge is power, especially when it comes to being prepared for the upcoming hurricane season. Preparing before disaster strikes can give you safety and peace of mind. In this presentation, we will discuss what to prepare in advance and how to do it. First, build an evacuation plan. As you can see, we have 2 links here, ready.gov and flash.org. Having an evacuation plan ready before disaster strikes is vital to ensuring your safety. Be sure to account for pets, children, and if possible, neighbors. Assembling a disaster kit. Now, as you can see here, we have a lot of things that you can assemble for your disaster kit. Water, food, you need cash. Do not rely upon your credit card because if a place is out of power, your card is not able to be accepted. Cash is king, especially when it comes to right after the storm before power is restored. You need meal supplies. You need your cups, towels, utensils. You got to make sure, and a can opener, a manual can opener. You need one of these in your disaster kits. A radio, a battery-powered regular radio, and a NOAA weather radio. Now, some of these things can honestly be kind of all incorporated into one device. So, if you have that one device, you have to make sure that you have the batteries for it and the abilities to make sure that it can be recharged if it is rechargeable. Your sleeping supplies, your blankets, pillows. Even if you're going to evacuating to a hotel, I recommend bringing your pillow. I mean, otherwise than that, you could be, sleeping on something that is not necessarily going to make you feel better in the morning. Clothing, obviously, you need to pack some clothing and make sure that it is weather appropriate. You obviously don't want to take a jacket. A big winter jacket when it's going to be 95 degrees outside with, an unbearable amount of humidity. First aid kit and your prescription drugs. You need to make sure that all of these items are together. Your toiletries, hygiene, toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, sanitizer, menstrual products, flashlights and batteries. Now, again, there are ways that you can get around and make these things easier. You need to make sure you keep your keys. You also, if you've got children, you need to make sure that you have entertainment for those children. And if you're relying upon, electronical devices, you need to make sure that they can be recharged. Fire extinguisher, a whistle to signal for help. A dust mask just in case you get into something that is in the disaster clean out that you may need those. Obviously you need tools, just a regular amount of tools, wrench or pliers to turn off your gas and utilities. If you are ever to evacuate your home and you are on city water or even well water, shut the water off before you leave. Please, you are going to help the infrastructure a lot more than you realize by just shutting off your water before you evacuate. Same thing for gas. Maps, GPS may not work if you do not have access to any kind of service, being that everything is down. You may not be able to access the normal things that you're used to. So having just one of those old road atlases put away somewhere, that could be very helpful. Your phone chargers and backup batteries. This is extremely important in today's technological world. You need to make sure that you have backup, power supplies. Paper, pencils, pens, something to write down with. Bleach. You need your glasses, contacts, lens solution, all of your eye care equipment. Make sure that you've got that. That kind of goes with your toiletries. Infant care. Obviously, if you've got a child, you've got to take everything and make sure that you have everything for them. Extra supply of medication. In an event of an evacuation, yes, you want to make sure that you have enough of your prescription medication to be able to last until a refill can be acquired. Copies of identification and insurance cards. You need to make sure that your most important paperwork, especially your insurance paperwork, is taken with you. Emergency contacts, doctors, relatives, and or friends. You need to make sure that you have a list of all of those numbers. Pet care. You need your pet food, extra water for your pet, and their medications and treats. They need treats. And don't forget toys. Waterproof storage. This is where your extremely important paperwork and valuables need to be stored in the event of an emergency. They need to be in a waterproof storage container. Make sure. Duct tape and plastic sheeting. This is when you shelter in place. If something occurs, you can at least hopefully stop and mitigate any kind of extra water intrusion. And here we are for our manual can opener. I knew you'd be putting that in there. This is, we learned this the hard way. And that was tough. We thought we had it and we didn't. We left it at the house and we were miserable. So make sure that you put a manual can opener in your evacuation kit. And a portable heat source. I personally recommend a couple of those little green containers of green propane gas, and then just a little burner that goes on the top of that. That will that's portable enough to where you can, or a Coleman, one of those dual burner ordeals. Okay, get an insurance checkup. Again, we have flash.org and then floodsmart.gov. Ensure that if a disaster strikes your home, you will be covered. Home and renter's insurance do not cover flood damage, and flood insurance requires a 30-day waiting period. Make sure you have your flood coverage as soon as possible. Now, you may think, hey, I don't need flood coverage because flood coverage is basically for storm surge. That's not the case. There have been many, many events of flooding that take place well away from the coast. I would like to bring you back to Helene of 2024. Those folks up there in the mountains, there was no push or no real true need for Flood insurance. I mean, you live in the mountains, but then we get tropical downpours in the mountains, and unfortunately, the flooding and regular homeowners insurance didn't cover that, and a lot of people lost everything, and it's been a very heartbreaking catastrophe that has taken place up there. Creating a communication plan. Now, this is very important. Determine how you will communicate with family and friends should disaster strike. Where will you meet? If you do not have an internet connection or phone signal, how will you communicate? Write emergency contacts on paper and keep it with you. This is very important. One thing that needs to be also considered is to give all of this communication information to somebody, your evacuation, everything, to a contact that is outside of the landfall zone or the disaster area. You want to make sure that, if you're going to go somewhere and meet up with somebody, you need to ensure that folks outside of your area can hopefully be used as a point of contact to be able to get in touch with you. Limit the people that you call. Cell phone battery, especially when sometimes you have to travel miles and miles and miles to be able to get a signal, cell phone battery at that point becomes kind of crucial. And unless you plan on sitting somewhere for a few hours and contacting everybody, having one point of contact, the designated individual is helpful in time of need. So, strengthening your home. In yesterday's presentation, we discussed identifying structural risks in your home. Today, focus on strengthening your home and minimizing those risks. Purchase required supplies such as plywood or aluminum to fortify your home during a storm. Seal outside cracks, trim trees, and install storm shutters if necessary and possible. This is very important. You need to fortify your structure, especially if you plan on, sheltering in place. You need to, have your shelter being as strong as possible. Eliminating any impacts to the windows, that's very beneficial and helpful. Even if you have hurricane windows, storm shutters, they help as well. Those are best, in my personal opinion. So, tomorrow we have understanding the forecast information. Obviously, this one's going to be very important to us. That's kind of what we do here, is making sure that we use the official information and forecast information for everybody. So let me get back over here, and thank you, Kylie, for the PowerPoint presentation here. We have our hurricane preparedness checklist here, and I made sure to pull this graphic up. If folks want to screenshot it, or we can get it to you if you guys want. I'm sure you could find it out there floating in on the internet. So obviously with Hurricane Preparedness Week here, with Week 2, all of the things that we have previously discussed is located here on Day 2's Prepare Before Hurricane Season. As you can see here, if you scroll down, all of these links are readily available. These are the same links that were located in Kylie's PowerPoint presentation. And as you can see, there are quite a few. This is a very important day. This is what saves lives right here, is preparation before the storm. Now, I've pulled up all the links. So what we have here in the first one is the FEMA evacuation. This is how you build an evacuation plan. What you need to do is to make sure, for one, you have a full tank of gas prior to leaving. 2, you need to identify the areas in which you are going to evacuate to. 3, you need to come up with certain amount of... Oh, go ahead. Okay. 3, you need to come up with certain paths and certain roadways that you are going to try to take, that you are going to be frequenting. And then communicate all of this to somebody else outside of the disaster zone. So, as you can see, during an evacuation, you've got the FEMA app for a list of shelters. Our partner, I Am Open. Let me pull... Our partner, I Am Open, is also going to have a very good database with that. So that is going to be also very beneficial going forward. You need to make sure, just check these pages. If you live in an area to where you could be impacted by the storm, please make sure that you are knowledgeable with this. If you've just moved into the region or you've never experienced a hurricane before, please educate yourself with this information. Now, after an evacuation is also very, very important, because for one, you've got to let friends and family know that everything is okay. 2, you're going to want to reach out to those who have stayed behind and check on your area, or make sure that you are returning to something that is habitable. You don't want to come home and your home has been destroyed. Yes, you need to get there, but did the whole family really need to come at that point? If you can have eyes on the ground before you return, it would be helpful. This is where having connections and communications with your neighbors and within your neighborhood is very helpful as well. You have to consider bringing a cell phone charger and a device charger for your vehicle. This way you can obviously keep things charged. And when you return home, if you plan on using a generator or have a generator, please make sure that the exhaust is not going to leak back into the house. Never run it in a garage or an enclosed area. Always make sure that there is plenty of ventilation for the system. Flash also has Find Your Evacuation Zone for this way with your shelter. This is a PDF file from the link located here for Preparedness Week. As we could see here, it is Find Your Evacuation Zone. So if you're doing this on a phone, it may cause you to have to download the actual PDF file. You might be able to pull it up without, but just wanted to make sure that everybody was aware. Building a kit. This is obviously kind of self-explanatory at this point. I don't want to, kind of beat a dead horse here and just repeat myself over and over again. But again, the hurricane preparedness checklist. Make sure that you have all of these items, or as many of these items as possible, for your hurricane kit. Now, we also have for your pet. You need to make sure to take care of your animals. Do not leave them behind. I know, and many people, they won't go to a shelter or anything because some shelters don't take pets. Hotels, and there are pet-friendly shelters, so please make sure that you know where these locations are before the storm strikes. Now, this is so important because we've seen so many people lose so much when it comes to the flooding that occurred with Helene. Flash.org has a homeowner's insurance guide to natural disasters. This is extremely informative, folks. As you can see with the table of contents, it has everything that you would need to be prepared as far as the insurance portion of the situation is concerned. So please make sure that you come to the hurricane preparedness, come down here, and as you could see, the flash insurance guide right here. Extremely informative, folks. Highly recommended. Another thing, the National Flood Insurance Program. Check. Honestly, if you're not in a flood zone, okay, you would be extremely surprised. I can almost guarantee it, how much that an annual policy is going to cost you. It is, now obviously if you live in a storm surge or a flood prone area, your risk is higher, your costs are higher at that point. But if you live well inland somewhere that hasn't flooded in 250 years, and your policy is probably only going to be just a couple $100, maybe a few $100. So to have the peace of mind of knowing that you have flood coverage that your homeowner's insurance does not cover is recommended. In many cases, the flood insurance, the annual cost over the course, in some cases it's not even $1 a day, folks. In other cases, it might cost you, one of those cups of coffees that you go get in the morning a day. That's it. And making a plan. Obviously, we need to make sure that, you are aware of how to get alerts and warnings. That's most likely going to be people's cell phones and their cell devices, unless you do not have cell signal and the power has gone out all over the place. Then you would need a NOAA weather radio. That goes off a radio band. What's your shelter plan? Where are they? Where are you going to go? Are you going to evacuate to a hotel, to a friend or family? Are you going to, evacuate to a local shelter? In many cases, when you, especially when it comes to evacuating for storm surge, you don't have to evacuate a state. You can evacuate inland by 15, 20, 30 miles, in the case of Louisiana and southern Louisiana, you may have to go inland, north of the I-10 corridor, perhaps, to get away from the surge in some of the most extreme cases. But again, you don't have to go far. You run from the water and you hide from the wind. What is your evacuation route? Make sure you know exactly how you're going to get there and communicate that plan to others. What is your family and household communication plan? Everybody in the household needs to make sure that they understand what the plan is. So by any means, if you happen to get split up, everybody knows where everybody's supposed to be. And then, and what everybody's supposed to be doing. It's very important. And do you need to update your emergency preparedness kit? Have you eaten the snacks in your disaster kit? Did you look over there and be like, you know what? I think that I would like to have a can of ravioli. Or, that fruit cocktail looked real good right there. I might want to get a hold of that. And do you need to replace it? Did you eat all the chocolate out of there? We've done this many of times to where, and at the end of the season, look at it like this. You can have yourself a good old time, making sure that you eat up all that to replace it again the following year. And now's the time to replace it. Believe we have a tax-free holiday in the state of Florida coming up soon. Kylie, can you check and see if we have dates on that? And the specific needs within your household. If you've got language barriers, you need to make sure that you have that. Disabilities, medical needs, dietary needs, your pet needs, your religious and cultural needs. Make sure all of these things are planned for prior to a disaster striking. And go ahead.
It looks like June. No, wait. These are 2024. Give me a second.
Oh, wait a minute. We haven't necessarily passed the Florida State budget yet, so we'll get back with you on that.
There's one version of the budget that doesn't have one, though, so that's weird.
Yeah, well...
the proposed one would be the end of this month, but it hasn't been approved yet.
Okay. All right. So, and Flash.org also has all of this information regarding how to prepare. Your FEMA mobile products, you could download the FEMA app, and there's many other available products as well. Whatever works best for you. Tips to prepare your home for hurricane season. You making sure if you've got a whole bunch of rocks in and around your yard, you might want to make sure that those could become flying projectiles in cases of really, really strong winds. Your trees, make sure that the weak branches and trees that could become an issue are taken care of. Making sure your exterior doors and windows are hurricane proof. Your sliding glass doors, if you so have them, make sure that they're well taken care of. And it would be best if you install shutters for that type of door system. When it comes to your garage door, make sure that is up to code and ready to go. If not, make sure that you have a way of bracing the garage door from behind, so this way the winds don't blow the garage door in and create a low pressure within inside your house, and the next thing you know, poof, there goes your roof. You don't want that, obviously. Seal outside wall openings such as vents, electrical outlets, garden hose bibs, just anything to where you had something that went into the wall. If you live in a mobile home, you can have it as secured as possible, but also please be in mind that is not an area to where it is recommended to shelter in place in hurricane force winds. Mobile home is not a viable structure at that point. If you live on a boat, at this point, you can get yourself into the harbor, and but if you do live on a boat and you have enough time, usually you can get yourself out of harm's way. That's kind of the advantages of a boat. You can just take your house and be like, well, I think I'm going to go over here now. And it goes with you. So, now that we've done that, I do want to discuss something out here potentially in the tropics. I've seen people talk about it, so I want to make sure that we kind of dispel any of the hype and just kind of communicate exactly what's going on. So, from the Climate Prediction Center, the Global Tropics Hazards Outlook that was issued last Tuesday, last Tuesday. We will get another one out tomorrow, and it will be interesting to see exactly what we have. So, as you can see, we do not have any type of tropical cyclone development expected for the Atlantic basin at all whatsoever. The only thing that we have week 2 is here in the Western Pacific. Week 3, we get the normal annual scare and potential development there in the Bay of Bengal in the North Indian Ocean. Now, one thing that I do want to show everybody is here we've got the European EPS ensemble members. And what we have is the ensemble members, 50 of them going out 7 days. We don't see anything, especially down here into parts of the Caribbean. And I can even zoom in a little bit closer because I know that's where everything's going to exist. So, if we go into day 10, we really don't have much, and I kind of don't like this, folks. Let me back this back out again. So, we really don't have much down here in parts of the Western Caribbean. We've got this one little line, disregard that. That's nothing. But this is where the model skill begins to go downhill, and it doesn't really have much skill at all once we go past this point. Now, we're going to go past this point because I want to take it into day 12. Now, as you can see here in day 12, we do have a little bit of a hint, I guess, if you want to say, the potential of development down here. This is going to be on the 17th of May. I'll take it into day 13. As you can see, we don't really have a lot more of the little circles developing day by day, but when we get out into the long range, we do have one or two that could, potentially show a tropical something or other, just some shenanigans at this point. I wouldn't call it anything other than that. But we're getting into that time of the season. Now, the GEFS, of course, the GEFS, the GFS itself is going crazy. It's spitting up, operational runs one after another saying, hey, look, here comes our annual ghost hurricanes. Disregard those. It does it every year. So here we are at day 7, and I'm going to pop this up to day 10. And as you can see, again, one little line. We're not really, too overly concerned about it. But when I get to day 12, we got a couple right off the coast of Nicaragua here to where we're getting a little bit of a clustering. Now, this is something that would be kind of expected from the GFS, especially when we get out, like I said, when we get out past that 10-day marker, there's really no skill to these models. But there are other things that atmospherically and environmentally that the models do have the ability to show in the long range. And just before I get into all that, I would like to show, this is our probability. This is day 7 to 9 as far as the European is concerned. Now, this says tropical depression, and this is greater than 20 knots. And if you notice, we've got a little bit of a signal here. But if I click it to tropical storm, we have nothing. So we could be looking at some showers and maybe a little bit of a low pressure, showers and thunderstorms. It's not really, too overly concerning. The signal gets lower when we go from day 8 to day 10. As you can see, that is a reduction in signal. But when we go 9 to 11, we get it coming back and coming back even stronger when we get into, the 10 to 12 day range at this point. So 9 to 12 days, whatever. I mean, looking at the ensembles, we're looking at maybe 11, 12 days. Again, there's no skill to this as far as the models are concerned. But we also have the potential to see some atmospheric conditions in and around that time that could be conducive for tropical cyclone development. So what we have here is a vorticity map and our velocity potential for the 200 millibar level. Oh, we got this. Mouse again. We read this via time. Time goes forward as we go down. And then if you look here, let me get this line thing so I don't have to worry about it. If you look down here, this tells you kind of where you're at in the world. It's in relation to the map located below that line. So what we're watching for is an area that is, this is the Eastern Pacific, but now we get ourselves into the Atlantic Basin here. So what we're really looking for is anything within these red lines. What's going on in here? Well, this area right here is of concern at this point. This would be the conducive conditions, and it would be set right over potentially the Caribbean Basin. And if we look at when the time is, May 15th, May 17th, somewhere in that range, 10, 12 days. So there is a possibility. I do want to let that be known. And this is going to be a little difficult to see. I couldn't get it. Kylie, can you zoom in on this for everybody, please? Do your little zoom thing that you do. Okay. What this is the MJO phase forecast for the Madden-Julian oscillation. Let me get this thing. That's big. I despise this mouse, Kylie. I just wanted to let you know. I haven't learned it yet. So, how we read this is we are located here in phase 1. This is the Western Hemisphere and getting into Africa. Our area is kind of right where we're starting off, right here with this little dot. All right, so right now we're kind of in that area to where we do have a little bit of a Madden-Julian oscillation enhancement, but if you notice this little circle right here, that dot is on the inside of that circle. So therefore, we're not really, it's neither here nor there. It's a little energy, but not a lot. But one thing that we notice is that this is going to regress back to the center, and then the forecast has it coming back out like this and ending up back in our neck of the woods. That's another thing that could potentially help for this 10, 12 days down the road. So it's just something that I'm monitoring. I'm not sold on it yet, but I will definitely keep everybody updated as we go forward. I just wanted to make sure that there's a lot of people out there now starting to pick up on it, and they're going to be out there talking about, oh, there's going to be a hurricane coming and everything like that. Well, and I've seen this graphic many a times already, where people have taken this graphic, one person shares it, takes this graphic and crop it for themselves, showing that there could be a tropical depression. You have literally a 5% chance for a tropical storm, and a little bit of a bigger chance at that point, getting into days 10 and 12. So it's not a 0% chance, but it's not a large chance either. I mean, we're looking at 1 out of 5, or 5%, so 1 out of 20 right now. So with that, that's about all I have. I didn't get an opportunity. What do we got here? What's our Nino status? Absolutely. So using the Climate Prediction Center, we can go right back here to our El Nino and La Nina. So, of course, we got to click on other things to get we want our outlooks.
Top. No.
No, you said top.
No,
I'm
top,
sorry.
top. Go up. No, go back down.
Okay.
Do you see where it says the word outlooks? That.
That's not the one that I was looking for.
Well, that's the outlooks. That's what you clicked on.
Yeah, but that's not the one that I was looking for, the graphic that she's used to. Hold on, Sammy. I got it. Let me just pull up a different one. I get to it real quick. We'll come over here to the climate school. And of course, I clicked on the wrong one, didn't I? Yes, I did. There it is. All right. That's the one you're used to seeing. So here is the Climate Prediction Center's potential for La Nina El Nino and the neutral conditions. I'll pull up tropical tidbits and show you what the current value is right now. We are solidly into the neutral conditions. The ENSO forecast, the probabilistic ENSO forecast, and the model-based stuff with our statistical and dynamical models paint maybe a little bit of a different story. Shows the values being a little bit more different than what we have from the CPC. As you can see here, they don't give the El Nino conditions as much as the models do. So it kind of throws things off a little bit, throws the Nina or the neutral conditions up, and kind of evens out the La Nina and El Nino conditions. But that being said, let's jump over here to tropical tidbits. This is one that you guys are used to seeing, and we can show everybody here. If we look at the current sea surface temperatures across the globe, we still have a little bit of below normal out there in the region. But if we take a look at the graphic, the 3.4 index itself is almost right at zero at this point, almost pure neutral. But one thing that we'd have to look into is, you could see Nino 4 on the western edge of the 3.4 region is starting to creep up and getting a little bit warmer than normal. Not even 0.1 degree yet, but it's getting there. And if we come to the 3, which is what's east of that though, as we can see, we are 0.275 below normal. So it's still kind of, this is where, for the east, this is where the 3.4 region is going to get some of its future waters. So keeping it into the neutral or potentially cool neutral, that is very possible. And if we go to the 1-2 region, this is where kind of things feed. As we could see in, just a couple months ago, we had it 1.5 degrees Celsius above normal. We had this huge warm up in right off the coast of Ecuador there, and getting in towards South America, especially into the Galapagos Islands in that region as well. Well, now we've bottomed back out to neutral conditions. So as you can see, that 1 and 2 region right up along South America can change depending on the winds rather quickly. So all in all, it's not too bad. If you guys want to see what we're looking at as far as the North Atlantic is concerned right now, any area that has yellow temperatures could support tropical cyclone development. So as you can see, the basin is starting to warm up. We're getting into the upcoming season. But I will say this. The sea surface temperature anomalies for the North Atlantic, it is a little bit cooler than normal out here into the central and eastern parts of the main development region. But if we take a look at the 7-day anomaly change, you could see that it is starting to warm up quite a bit now that we're starting to get into our, starting to close in on our summer months. So all in all, it's going to be an interesting season for sure. No doubt about it. Okay. All right. Do we have any other questions? Be more than happy to answer them. Yes, Sammy, that is a good idea with the liquid IV. All right, everybody. I would like to thank you for joining us. I need to get the Lifeline. I forgot to pull up the Lifeline, our partners volunteer tab. If anybody's interested in volunteering for disaster relief or anything like that, if you've got extra time and you're willing to help others, hey, please reach out to us. We've got plenty of things, and our partners have plenty of tasks and things that need to get done. And if you guys are willing to help, please, by all means, reach out to us and let us know. We'll have all of their stuff prepared tomorrow night. We were working behind the scenes trying to get YouTube up, so welcome everybody.
YouTube, not even working.
Huh?
I don't even think the YouTube is working.
Oh, that's sad. All right, everybody. Have a wonderful evening. I'm going to go ahead and end this now so Kylie can figure out what's going on with that and do some troubleshooting, and hopefully we'll have it fixed here shortly. So have a wonderful evening, everybody, and we'll talk to you again tomorrow night at 6 p.m. Good night.